The Dallas Stars were legit contenders last season, but are they better now than they were a year ago? We'll break it all down next.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. Are the Dallas Stars better today than they were heading into opening night last season? That is the question of the day on this Tuesday edition of Locked On Stars. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We're going to take a look at the depth chart for this upcoming 2025-26 campaign as it stands, and then compare it to last year's opening night roster and see if we can find any weaknesses, maybe some upgrades as well after all the decisions the Stars have made so far in the offseason. Also, the Stars have a preseason schedule. Yes, Stars fans, hockey is right around the corner, just a little more than 2 months away. We'll get into that. And Joe Pavelski is a champion, not a Stanley Cup, unfortunately, but he won a golf tournament. I'll tell you about that a bit later on today's show as well. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of today's episode. Are the Stars better now than they were a year ago? Because I think it's a really intriguing question. Of course, the Stars have traded Mason Marchment. They've traded Matt Dumba so far. They went out and acquired Radek Faksa. So let's take a look at the position groups and see if there's an argument to make that the Stars are better right now heading into this upcoming season than they even were a year ago. And we felt pretty strongly about the Stars roster last season. We weren't thrilled with the moves they made on July 1st, but as the summer went along, we started to feel better. Maybe we're going to feel better about this roster as the days and months pass as well. We'll start with the left wing group because this is probably where you have the biggest drop off from last year heading into this season. So on opening night, you had Jason Robertson, you had Evgeny Dodonov, who's now gone, Mason Marchment, who of course is now gone, and Sam Steele. As of today, you have Jason Robertson, pretty good. You got Jamie Benn, pretty good. And you have Sam Steele and Oscar Beck. With Radek Faksa being acquired, he's pretty much going to be your fourth line center the entire year. So move back over to the left wing. Now, Jason Robertson, you're hoping is going to come into this season fully healthy and hopefully find his rhythm right off the hop and not get off to that very, very slow start he had. Jamie Benn. Now, what is his role going to be under Glenn Gulutzan? That's going to be a rather intriguing dilemma we're going to see take place this season because as we saw in the postseason, Jamie Benn was pretty much limited to a fourth line checking role. Sam Steele, I think, is probably going to get elevated in the lineup. I'm going to tell you my ideal trios going into next season a bit later on in this segment as well. And then you have Oscar Beck, just really solid. He's cheap. We know what we're going to get from him. But, you know, Evgeny Dodonov and Mason Marchment, last season, they were 20-plus goal scorers, and they played some pretty heavy minutes. And, of course, Marchment played with Duchesne and Sagan, a very, very good line. He missed some time. So the Stars are certainly a bit thin on the left wing position group. In terms of scoring, too, I am a bit concerned about where the Stars are going to find some scoring on that left side because, really, your only pure goal scorer is Jason Robertson. And you hope Jamie Benn is going to pitch in offensively. But how many minutes is he going to play? Is he going to get a lot of opportunities on the power play as well? He only had one power play goal last season. So that is a big question. And I would say there is a decrease in talent level, certainly from opening night of 24 to right now. Now, let's go over to the right wing position because this is where you can make up for some of that lack of sexiness on the left side. Because, yes, you have Mikko Rantanen, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to get a full season of Mikko Rantanen. that right there is going to cover up what you're missing from Mason Marchment and Evgeny Dodonov. Mikko Rantanen, your number one right winger. He was voted on by fans the other day on Twitter as the 10th best forward in the NHL. Mikko Rantanen, boom. Then you have Tyler Seguin, you have Maverick Bourque, and you have Colin Blackwell. Now compare that to last season. You had Tyler Seguin, you had Logan Stankoven, you have Maverick Bourque. He was on the injured reserve list going into opening night, but we're going to throw him in here. And then you had a Blackwell as well. I would say that's an upgrade from last season. And of course, we miss Logan Stankoven, but it's safe to say Mikko Rantanen is an upgrade from Logan Stankoven. Tyler Seguin, I know he's 1 year older, but he showed early on last season he was a point per game player. Hopefully they can keep that up. And I may have a solution for an aging Tyler Seguin. We'll get to that as well. Maverick Bourque, a possibility for him to elevate his play, a young forward with upside, of course. We talked about this a lot last season. And when we did some breakdowns of Maverick Bourque, really everywhere he's gone in his career, takes him a year to get his bearings, to understand the game at another level, the pace, and to get comfortable. And usually the next season, he improves. And we saw from game to game, he got a little better and a little better. Is this year he takes a big jump? Because Maverick Bourque can be a real X factor for the Stars team. Because right now it looks like the Stars have a really, really strong top six. They can almost just kind of beef up that top six. Maverick Bourque can be a contributor. Oh, you're going to feel really good as a Stars fan because that's just one more guy in that bottom six that can maybe elevate in the lineup, may play in the top six, bump somebody down, and you're going to feel better about this roster. Blackwell, phenomenal. What he gives you at 5-on-5, what he gives you on the forecheck, what he gives you in the physicality department, what he gives you on the PK. I think it's a strong right-wing group. And Bourque, again, you have some upside there. We know what Seguin is. I know he's another year older, but Mikko Rantanen, like you have a superstar that gets to slot in that you didn't have all of last season and you didn't have heading in to next season or heading into opening night. Center, down the middle, you got Hintz, you got Duchesne, Johnston, Faksa, and 25-26. Last year it was Hintz, Duchesne, Johnston back, and of course you had some steel in there. That's a pretty solid group down the middle. Hintz, Duchesne, Johnston, Faksa. We're going to need more from Hintz. I want to see more from him. Possibly he gets moved over to the wing as well. Wink, wink. Duchesne, we understand he led the Stars in points last season. Johnston, can he take another jump? Can he make another leap? Because if he does, my goodness, Stars are going to be in good shape. Radek Faksa is Radek Faksa. Again, I'm not trying to be rude to Radek. I just think it's funny. I almost died when Jim Nelson, the press conference, we missed Radek Faksa this past season because I sat there and thought to myself, I don't remember a single point during last season, especially in the Western Conference Final. You know what I want on this roster? Radek Faksa. That's going to make the difference. Again, that's my soapbox. It has nothing to do with the segment today, but I just thought that was a bit silly. Okay. Then on the left side, you got Lindell, you got Harley, you got Bichel heading into the next season, you got Heiskanen, you got Lyubushkin, you got Lundqvist / Petrovic as well. Of course, you had Dumba last season. That's really addition by subtraction, getting him off the books. You had Brendan Smith. Of course, he wasn't bringing you very much. But other than that, that's a decent decor. Lindell Heiskanen could become a pair. Harley Lyubushkin. The Stars don't seem to want to move off Lyubushkin. They thought he was a really good depth piece. And to be fair, after they did salary dump Dumba, they need another body. And Lyubushkin, for what he was last season, for a majority of the year, I think he's going to fit in just fine. Hopefully Lundqvist stays fully healthy under a new head coach. What does his role look like? Can he really improve? And then you got Bichel. He's sort of in the same category as Bourque. Like a young player, has a lot of upside and will be a lot of fun to watch next season. So I just encourage Stars, go through the roster. Look at the depth chart. I think you can feel really, really good about this team. And I think there's a really strong case, of course, with the Smith and Onger, that the Stars are better. Maybe not by a large fraction, but but maybe a skosh, a little bit, heading in to opening night this year as the roster stands. And who knows, maybe they'll be able to make some moves. But I think you can make a strong argument they're better than they were opening night last season. And not in all position groups, but where you make up for some of that, of course, with Rantanen, full year Bischel, Lundqvist coming back with a new coach. I just think there's some upside. But you also have to factor, there could be some declines, right? Jamie Benn, what does his role look like? But maybe Steele gets elevated. And I want to talk about some of that too. And maybe talk about where I see the trios looking like and why it could be a win for Dallas heading into next season after what we saw from most of this last campaign. And we'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel has the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. FanDuel has the ability to track all your favorite matchups. The app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. It's easy to use, it's fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. When you're in that same game parlay, watching the bet ride into the ninth inning, FanDuel makes it feel like you're a part of the action. So many good things to get involved with. MLB, you have the Open Championship this weekend. New to FanDuel? Well, there's no better time to get in on the action. New customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. So this first segment is going to leak into the second segment a bit before we get into the preseason schedule. But I want to make sure we sort of drive this point down, drive the nail into the board, so to speak. And I did want to share where I could see the lines being opening night next season, because the Stars, as I mentioned, they have the ability, it feels like right now, to really beef up that top six. And I am rather intrigued looking at Roope Hintz being a left wing, which would bump Robo down a bit, but you move Wyatt Johnston to center between Roope Hintz and Mikko Rantanen. If it's one thing from last season where Dallas struggled a bit, was finding a right wing for Robo and Hintz. They just really could never find the perfect piece. And that really includes Rantanen as well. I know they didn't get a ton of time together, but it's not like they were all going scorch earth last season. And since Pavelski left, it's been a bit interesting. So I would rock and roll Johnston your center because I think he's so valuable down the middle. Hintz moves over to the left wing, and you have Mikko Rantanen on that line as well. Then it moves Robo down to the line with Duchesne and Seguin. I know that's not a lot of speed on that trio, but you have Dutchy driving the play, Seguin, playmaker, and Robo sort of your shooter. Again, you're not going to have a ton of speed on that trio, but I think that could be a rather intriguing line. We saw Marchment be a force with the pairing of Duchesne and Seguin. Now, when you look at it, who's going to be that forechecker? Well, it's going to have to really be Tyler Seguin and Robo, of course, to go in after pucks, play physical, win some battles. And then I think that line could actually create a lot of offense for Dallas. So that would be sort of my 2C. Then you elevate Sam Steele between Bork and Ben. And then you have Foxa between Beck and Blackwell. And I know that isn't sexy when you look at that bottom six right away. It's like you're going to be asking a lot out of some others, but hopefully Bork improves. Steele in an elevated role, I think he could provide a bit more offense. The fourth line just it's a typical fourth line checker, but also with the departures of Dodonov and Mason Marchment and even Stankoven to some degree, it gives the opportunity for maybe a Justin Ritskovian to fit into the lineup next year. And that's a guy that could provide some more offensive pop. Maybe it's R2 Huru, right? Maybe it's, a Cole Lind of some type, right? Will that allow a younger player not to be boxed out and get some minutes in the NHL next season? I think that's a conversation we can have as well. But I think the Stars could rock along with those trios, kind of beef up that top six. You got Johnston, Rantanen, and Hintz, Robertson, Duchesne, Sagan, and your bottom six would be Steele, Ben, Bork, Beck, Foxa, Blackwell. Now you're going to be looking for scoring. I think that's safe to say, but you also have to remember, like, you got Mikko Rantanen. That should cover a lot. He's a very talented goal scorer. He can make up for. I know it's 40 something goals you're trying to replace. I think Rantanen will be able to do just fine. And with Robertson, hopefully being healthy going into this year right away, not having to get off to a slow start, find his rhythm, they can make up some ground for maybe what they're going to lose with some of the departures. So wanted to touch on that. I just think there's a really solid argument to let's say the Stars are better. Let me know your thoughts. Maybe you don't, but I would love to hear your feedback. Now let's hop into our second item on the agenda, the preseason schedule for the Dallas Stars. That was announced just this past week. The Stars will hold a training camp September 17th through the 20th at Comerica Center in Frisco, Texas. All Stars home games, by the way, for the 2025-26 regular season will go on sale to the general public at a later date. But the full preseason schedule has been listed below. We're going to go through it in its entirety. Saturday, September 20th, St. Louis at Dallas at the AAC, 6 p.m. start. Tuesday, September 23rd, Minnesota at Dallas, AAC once again, 7 p.m. Thursday, September 25th, Dallas at Minnesota. That will be at the XL Energy Center, which is not the XL Energy Center anymore. Shame on the Dallas Stars PR. I think it's the Grand Casino or something like that. It's a tragedy. It'll always be known as the X to me. For those of you that don't know, I went to school in Minnesota, went to many of games at the X when the Stars were there. And yes, I got to rub it in a lot of Wild's faces fans. Anyways, Saturday, September 27th, Dallas at Colorado. That'll be at Ball Arena, 5 p.m. Tuesday, September 30th, Dallas at St. Louis. That will be at the Enterprise Center, 7 p.m. And then to wrap it up, Saturday, October 4th, Avalanche, Colorado at Dallas at the AAC, 5 p.m. So you have a total of 6 preseason games from September, and then the lone game in October about to come up, which will be very, very exciting stuff. Also, the Stars did mention they were going to have their development camp with the Detroit Red Wings. Let me get you the full details of that as well. The NHL prospect camp, prospect games, excuse me, not the development camp, but the 2025 Dallas Stars and Detroit Red Wings prospect games. They will be held actually at the Comerica Center in Frisco, September 13th and 14th. So just before the preseason schedule slate gets underway. So the 13th and 14th in Frisco. Tickets for all NHL prospect games will require fans to reserve free general admission tickets. Victory Club members, by the way, presale will take place during the week of August 25th, with the Star Center programming presale window taking place during the week of September 1st. Tickets will be available to the general public on September 5th on DallasStars.com. So that's a lot of fun and great news too, that some Stars fans, if you got nothing going on in September, you got the ability to go out and see some young guns in that game. That should always be a lot of fun, and maybe see some future Stars, not just for the Stars, but even the Detroit Red Wings. So that will be awesome that the Stars are hosting that in North Texas as well. So there's some good homework I wanted to get through as well with the prospect games. And of course, the preseason schedule has been announced as well. Pretty much the same old foes, right? You usually play Minnesota twice in Colorado. In St. Louis, I think it's sort of the same thing every year with the division. And I have to say, last year they were able to stream every preseason game. Maybe not everyone, but they did the majority of them. And I thought it went rather well on Victory Plus. It's good too. It's good to see some guys that you don't get to watch on a regular basis. And when certain teams load up the roster one night if they're at home, get to see some younger guys against the Nathan McKinnons of the world, the Kaprizovs, and that can be really, really interesting. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes, and maybe if the Stars or Victory Plus is planning on showing any of the preseason game, which I think they would. If I had to put some money on it. So there you go, the preseason schedule. Now, here's sort of my feel-good take-home segment. Joe Pavelski. He's a winner. He's a champion. Tell you more about that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Indeed. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs. Put your post at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates faster. You've been in a spot before. Maybe if you're a business owner, you need to hire somebody like yesterday. The pressure can be on. Every day without that right person can be a setback. That's exactly where Indeed sponsored jobs come in handy. They make sure your post is seen by the right candidates right now. They make sure their resume matches the job requirements. You don't have to waste your time. That's the worst thing. Spending a ton of time, or time is valuable, looking through a bunch of candidates. Get the great candidates, the right candidates right away with Indeed sponsored jobs. Right now, you can speed up the hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now. Support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast, Locked On Stars. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring Indeed is all you need. Well, this was some phenomenal news a few days ago that Joe Pavelski, of course, former Dallas Stars forward, won the American Century Championship in Lake Tahoe. For those of you that are not familiar with this championship, it is a celebrity golf tournament that takes place, and it's very competitive. Maybe it's competitive to some, not so much to some others, but something Joe Pavelski has always been trying to win. He has finished runner-up a couple of times, I believe. And if you recall, over the last couple of years, the NHL always put out some interesting polls that they ask the players. And one of the questions is like, who's the best golfer? And I think Joe Pavelski won that a couple of years in a row, but he finally got it done. He won the American Century Championship, a total of 73 points. He took home in his 3 rounds to defeat John Smoltz, of course, former pitcher for the Atlanta Braves, Jake Owen, a country singer. Steph Curry's up there as well. Annika Sorenstam, former LPGA golfer, won a lot of majors. Tony Romo's in there as well. So you got some DFW connections there. But Joe Pavelski won. So congrats to him. That's something I know he's been trying to knock out the last couple of years, and good to see him thriving again, man. He needed to lift a trophy in the NHL. The Stars unable to give it to him in his final few days or final few seasons as a pro. But I thought that was awesome. So a first-time winner. I'm sure we're going to see him in that leaderboard a couple more times. He had a walk-off eagle, by the way, which was pretty sick. So Pavelski can get it around the golf course. Make no mistake about that. But yeah, just wanted to give you an update on that little feel-good segment to end your Tuesday of Locked On Stars. As always, thank you so much for the love and support on each and every episode. I don't know if I'm going to have an episode out tomorrow, by the way, just because I have to go move, as I mentioned yesterday, to get down to Corpus, move some things, and then I'm coming back to DFW for another few weeks before I go back down permanently for the new season. So I'm going to be sort of traveling around. It's going to be really confusing, but I'll keep you up to date. By the way, we did switch as a network. We're going to 3 days a week. I'm going to have to make up some shows for you guys. As I said, like today's one of those makeup shows. So I'm going to post as much as I can, of course, as we continue to grind through this off season. There's been a lot to talk about, actually, which is nice. I feel like last year it just went really scarce. although we're starting to get to that point of the season where things are just getting really, really scarce and all we can rely on is some rumors. But, we're hearing Robertson and potential trades again. That would be an intriguing conversation. Need to get some guests on. I know I've just been flying around lately and been hard to nail down some times with some others, but we'll get some other voices in here, hear some other opinions, and continue to bring you some good content here on Locked On Stars. But that's going to do it for this Tuesday edition. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell. We've grown so much over the last 6 months or so, and that's a big thank you to you. I know there's a lot of options out there. Appreciate those of you that continue to come back to listen to Locked On Stars and listen to me ramble and give my opinions each and every day. And I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to me. I really do. Grateful I get to do this. I've had a lot of fun over the last 2 years, and I think it's going to be a fun third season upcoming. So very much looking forward to that. But anyways, that's going to do it for today's episode. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, Stars fans, and see you soon. So long, Stars fans.